Welcome to Rich Conversations. I'm joined by cousin Frank. And we're in the shed.
It's a good setting.
This is we're in the shed on the farm. And this is something we were kind of like getting into right before we started recording. And it's like perfection gets in the way. Perfection causes friction, which then the energy it disrupts the energy, clarity, execution. So my thought process with this was like setting up the cameras and everything. It's just like, let's just go. Instead of like trying to manicure it and like have this in the background and that, it's just like.
I was wondering when you like, what were you thinking in that 12 seconds, 13 seconds?
Yeah.
What was going through your head when you were sitting there staring at?
I was trying it to be perfect, and from like. The last time we had a recording was a year ago.
Was it really?
I think the last time you were on was a year ago.
You and me? Well, I mean, that can't be.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that would have been in March. Okay.
A little less.
I think that's kind of the direction with the podcast I'm taking more. It's just like, let's just go. I don't care what other people are doing. I just want to have conversations. I just want to like chop it up. And
that's how I live my real life, man. You know, like it's not produced in any way. You know, a lot of the interactions I have with random people, random strangers, you know, it's never thought out. It's always something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes I got something to say to me. Sometimes I got something to say to them. You know, we live in a different world, man. People are. It's almost like people are scared to talk to other people, man, especially strangers, because we live in a. Man, you know, ever since we started doing this, right? Like, think about the first time we did this, man. Before we even had cameras. Remember, we just did.
It's 2020.
We just did the audio. So
yeah.
It was 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it seems like both a long time and just yesterday.
Totally.
You know
totally.
I mean? And
yeah.
like all the stuff that we've talked about, you know. And I've seen a lot of your other podcasts, man. We've talked about a lot of different things. You specifically talk about a lot of different things. And what's wild is that I've noticed that on a lot of your podcasts, like, it has to, like, I talk about that same type of stuff, the same principles. It's not necessarily the same material, the same detail.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of the same principles, man, from person to person in the real world, you know, because when you're on camera, right, like, I don't know. Every time we're on camera, like it's not like we're on camera, dude. Because we've had hours and hours long conversations. Yeah. Like you've whittled. I remember the one you whittled down from like 6 hours into a 1 hour thing. You know what I mean? And we're just chilling, talking, dude, because there's so much to talk about. And like from where we were 5 years ago and where we are now, it's like it almost seems like we're further back than. Progress forward.
When you say we're, what do you mean by that?
Just as a whole, man, you know, like when you factor everything in, right? Education, politics, just all of it, man. You know, it feels like we're not progressing anymore as a society. It feels like we're regressing. You know, everybody's staying at home and there's various reasons for this. Mass shootings, like all this crazy stuff going on, you know, and people are starting to live in fear. And it's hard not to because of all the stuff going on, man. I mean, not just like, you know, as a nation, but as a globe. You know, you see a lot of stuff going on in a lot of different places, and it's all over the map, dude. Good and bad, you know, it goes both ways. And that's the thing, like when let's just take real simple stuff, right? Like today, like me coming out here, right? It's not like I live right down the street. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like I think about all the things, okay, I'm getting my car, I'm gonna go down by the farm. And like I think about the drive down there. Man, a lot of stuff can happen during that drive. You know, you can hit a deer, you get an accident, like, and it's wild because, and this is what brings that thought. Right down the road, when I turn off a 45, there's a real nice house, man. It's got flags, got a nice little horse deal.
Oh yeah. I've seen that one.
That place was loaded up with ambulances and police just now.
Really?
Yeah, dude, I was freaking out. And look, I honk by those people every time I pass. And hopefully one day you're gonna see this. It's me that honks by your house every time. And
they have all the Wisconsin
yep.
sports teams flags.
It used to be, you know, the Navy, Army, Marines, Air Force. And like every time one of those flags gets
Changed?
tethered, they put a Wisconsin.
Okay,
Green
Bay,
yeah. Brewers.
You're very detail oriented.
Well, that's the thing,
Notice
man.
things.
Like you were talking about perfection, right? Like
Yeah.
when you have a certain type of way you think, a certain type of brain, and I've learned this about myself, man, where it's like you said, perfection, it hinders progress sometimes. But at the same time, there's certain things you can do where if you don't get it perfect, dude, you could ruin everything.
That's true.
And I'll give you a great example. My friend David, okay? He's out building a freaking bridge across a giant chunk of water, right? And if they don't drill that thing perfectly straight, if it's off just a little, dude, it's no good. The whole thing is no good.
Yeah.
And there's reason for that. If you don't drill it to the right depth, if you don't drill it, you don't pour it to the right width, like there's a million things, density, all this stuff. If you don't get it perfect, it's no good. It's just no good. That's it. It's either
So it's a matter of like cognitively figuring out when perfection is good and when it's bad.
And right there, just that one thing. Like think about all the time and effort it takes just to prep for that one question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that in and of itself, man, like, okay, if this is perfect, does this have to be perfect? You know what I mean? Like, there's just so many elements. And I feel like that's the thing of how we started this, right? Where it's like the progression or regression of us as a society, like where we've landed. How I felt as an individual over the last 5 years has been much different than a lot of people. But I feel like now, today, I feel like a lot of people are starting to be on the same page, man, where just so much stuff happens in the world, in their lives, in their personal life. Again, whether it be good or bad, that everybody's kind of on the same plateau right now, where you don't really know what to do. You don't really know what's coming next. And planning for the next thing or, setting yourself up for the next wave or whatever it may be, phase, it just seems so much more difficult because there's more unknowns now than there has been in the history of time. And one thing that we talked about is the amount of options, and we've talked about this both on and off camera, where in today's world, the amount of options we have, it goes right in with perfection, where it's like, well, you don't want to choose wrong.
And there's always a better option.
And that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
There's always another thing. And this is where, like, capitalism kind of folds in on itself, right? Where you have all these options, and we're free to have all these options and all these companies. And you never know which, go with the wrong one, you go with the wrong one. Either way, you're the one paying for it. Whether it be a can of soup or building a house.
Oh, so let's, well, there's a lot to unpack here.
As usual.
Okay, two things. The soup can conversation we had the other day. But before that, now you said, when you're saying progressing or regressing, like what do you mean by that? And like define that.
So I feel like, let's take something like downtown Milwaukee, right? Okay, downtown Milwaukee is a set space, right? Area, okay? Like, there's certain buildings that go up, some buildings that go down, and the thing is you're not going to expand downtown. Downtown is downtown, and so just keep that in mind. And now let's look around where we are now, right? Me and Grandma talked about this the other day. If you look around this area, how many new houses do you see going up?
Too many. Too many for my liking.
And that's what I'm saying, right? Because it's progression. And one thing I noticed in the house right down the street, it's for sale. They just built that house less than 5 years ago. And that house is for sale.
We build to sell. We don't build to live.
And that, so this is where all this conversation, all this talk is kind of going, right? Is that our lives are becoming more about money than they are about love and like understanding and being together and all this kind of stuff, dude. And that's why I say progression and regression, because people are making more money than ever, but we're also spending more money than ever, and people like me who don't have any money to begin with, like that it ain't helping. Having things be more expensive ain't doing no good for nobody, you know. And that's why, like, the ebb and flow of, building, tearing down, building, tearing. It's like, it's almost like we're doing it just to do it. It's almost like we're doing certain things just to go through the motions so that somebody can make money. It's like we're not doing this stuff to help anybody. We're doing this stuff because it's going to make money. You know, we're building houses to sell them. We're restructuring buildings downtown so that we can fit more people in and make more money. It's not so that more people have a place to live. It's so that somebody can charge more for people to live there.
Yeah.
You know?
It feels like to me like there's a lack of alignment in just values, alignment of like, okay, let's pause. Like what are we trying to do together? Like what's the bigger goal that we're trying to work towards?
And that's
there is no goal right now.
That's exactly where I was headed, is that it feels that way. You know what I mean? It's not just obvious to the naked eye or to the human eye. Like, we watch it, we see it, we're literally a part of it, whether we like it or not. And that's exactly what I'm saying, man, is that it seems like there's no goal, there's no end game. It's just we're doing this to do this, so that we can do this to do this. And there's no, like you said, there's no goal. And we're not working together. It seems like the rich get richer and use it so that other rich people can get richer. And then it creates its own little society. And then anybody outside of that society is just screwed. You know, is that certain people are working together, but they're only working together for their own benefit. You know, and that seems strange to me. You know, look at what your pops does, man. I mean, look what goes on here, right? Like, dude, he stretches himself thinner than anybody I've ever known. And he works harder than anybody, and I'll tell you right now, I'll put it to the test. Any of you out there, man, you want to go toe-to-toe working with Mel, man, go right ahead. You're going to lose that game. But, you know, that's the thing. He's doing it for the family. He's doing it for the legacy. He's doing it because it's the right thing to do. He's doing it because it's the purpose. It's not a purpose. It's the purpose. You know what I mean? And
So would you say something I discuss a lot in videos and in writing is purpose? And if you don't, actually we went over this today we're doing book 3 of this philosophy series that we're doing. And it's self-growth is the theme. And we went over this specific paragraph about carving time out of your day. We talked about busyness. And so my editor had a question about what I was saying with busy. And I said, busyness is thoughtlessness. It's mindless. It's like...
Can be.
Without purpose, it's like digging a hole in the ground. Water will fill it very quickly. So if you don't carve out time in your day for yourself, the question overall was about self-love. If you don't do it, everything else in the world is going to fill it very quickly. So it's really important to take the time to find that purpose and give meaning to your life so you can go do it, you know?
Over the last 5-6 years, that's been a tough thing for me to do, is find the purpose, you know? And like, I suppose I've always kind of lived my life this way, is that I give my purpose to everybody else. Like, everybody else is my purpose. You know what I mean? Like, I guess it's kind of hard to explain when you're not as grounded as me. You know, again, I have a different situation than most people, right? Like, I don't really want to get into it too heavy, but at the same time, I've been sidelined. And when you're a starter and you're sidelined, okay,
Like, it's a good analogy, yeah.
It's tough. It's tough to mentally absorb what that means, you know, and like what the purpose is for why you've been sidelined. And it's taken quite a few years for me to like adjust. And I'm still like adjusting to that, to where, you know, I guess when you go back to when I was a kid, I always felt that when you elevate other people, you get elevated just by principle, right? Like, you're the one that helped elevate somebody, so therefore you get elevated along with them. It just makes you feel good to know that you helped somebody else. And I feel like in today's world, that's gone. Like, people don't want to elevate. They want to elevate themselves. And they're willing to claw over other people to get to that elevation. At least that's the way it feels, you know. Now, for somebody like me who's had the mindset of, you know, elevate the team, and whoever the team is, man, like, it just all kind of falls into place. And because of where we are now, you know, 10 years ago, that's how it was, man, where you helped somebody else and you're going to get it back tenfold. In today's world, if you help somebody else, you know, you're lucky to get a thank you. You know what I mean? And it's not that you do it for the thanks. You do it because you know that person deserves it. But I've seen it happen all too often in a lot of different scenarios where you help somebody accomplish their goal, and now that they've got their goal, they level up and they go after another goal, but they forget all about how they got to that first goal. You know what I mean? And how they accomplished that first goal, knowing full well that it was you who helped them or whoever that helped them. And, you know, there's a lot to be said for that, because everybody's different. Everybody lives a different life. Everybody's in a different place. Everybody's doing different things. You know, and like you said, a lot of people, man, they're just busy. I hear it all the time. Oh, I'm too busy. I'm too busy doing what? You know, and I get it. You got kids, all that kind of stuff. I get it. You know, you run around kids. That's the whole thing. Work, same thing, man. Like, I get it.
But yeah, that's something we discussed too. And something I said was like, something I believe in is that if you truly want something, you'll make it happen. You won't be busy.
Time for it.
For example, tonight. Like, you came out here. We discussed the logistics of you coming out here. Like, you want to be here. You're here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And let me take a second just to say something too. I want to be here to talk to you. Oh. You know what I'm saying? Like, to converse with you.
Yeah.
All of this stuff is just a side note. I've said this before.
I know.
I've said this before, where it's like, you know, because you and me have some of the greatest discussions, I think, that are out there. And if a lot of, you know, some more off camera than on camera, right? Like, we can talk about some serious, deep stuff.
Yeah, we
can.
can.
Know what I mean? And, like, I feel that a lot of people nowadays, like, they're not even interested in that, because in their heads, they got better things to do than talk about the way things are, than talk about where they are in life, than talk about, like, and, you know, one of the phrases I use is don't talk about it, be about it, right? And in this case, like, in this scenario, I feel like if we don't start the conversation, who will? Because nobody's thinking about that type of stuff. Nobody's thinking about, like...
The flip side of that is you're saying, like we have to do it, or we have to do it. The flip side of that is to find those people, to reach other people that believe the way we do. We have to do it through that.
See that? Well, we don't have to.
We don't have to.
Because we could be out in the thick, you know what I mean? We could be going places, and we go where the people are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that...
But then you're limited by geography.
Well, that's part of it. The other thing, though, is that, I mean, how quick? Just how quick?
Oh, I know.
Just how quick and easy it is. Again, that's why I stick to these. I stick to one of these.
Well, this is an interesting thing too, because this is something we might have talked about bringing up on the podcast. But you have a flip phone, and I don't have Wi-Fi or internet in the house that I live in. I don't stream. I don't scroll. Like, I'm very disciplined with my phone. Like, I use it for specific purposes, and I get it in, and then I pull out, you know? And I think it's really interesting.
Some would appreciate, some would.
I think it's interesting. It's interesting the conversations we have, and like where we're coming from with this.
Well, I see, you know, I mean, how many people you see on their phone, man? You know, I've gone so many places, and dude, you could just take the baseball playoffs, right? Brewers, man, whatever. Just take something like that on television, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the baseball playoffs. Okay, when that camera scans the audience, 50% of them are on their phone or using their phone. Like, and it's like, man, don't you just want to enjoy that experience? Like, you're watching the experience through this.
Or like it's like a what do you call that? Like a second-hand experience, or like a bystander. I don't know.
Either way, for me,
First person.
So tonight specifically, is kind of a bittersweet night for me, because tonight in Madison is the Mo Show, and I haven't.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't.
You've been following this band for quite a while.
I've seen them over 100 times, and I have not missed a Mo Show I've missed one, I think, in 20, almost 30 years.
When they come to Wisconsin?
Yep.
Okay.
I missed them one time at the rave in about 30 years. I think this is the 29th year, so literally almost 30 years. And like I can't help but think, like I'm thinking about that the whole time, dude. Like there's a lot of people there that are missing. They want to sign the shirt, dude. They know that I'm gonna.
Yeah, you bring shirts and have.
So I wear a shirt, and then I bring a bunch of markers, man. And then everybody in the audience signs a shirt. I got a lot of them. It's been pretty great, and I've seen them all over the country, man, in a bunch of different spots. But when they come to Wisconsin, I'm always there. And this is one of the first times. Like I said, this is the second time in 30 years that I've missed them in Wisconsin. And I'm not gonna lie, it sucks, dude. Like I really wish I was there seeing them, because. I mean, you never know when the last time they're going to play is, man. That's just like any band out there, You never know when the last time they're going to be live is. Ozzy Osbourne, man, he'd been done for a while, and now he's gone forever.
Yeah.
You're never going to see him again, And I think, putting that in perspective to everything that we're talking about, right? Where it's like everybody's so busy, everybody's doing all their things. It's like, yeah, but one day you're not going to be doing nothing. One day it's over.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people keep themselves busy and keep their minds busy in order not to think about that. And I think that's both helpful and hurtful, right? Like it's helpful because you're plugging along, you're doing your thing, you're staying engaged and doing what you're supposed to be doing or whatever, and then on the other side, it's like, man, are you thinking about the end game? Because that's all I ever think about is the end game.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's a different mindset when that is at the forefront of your brain, when you're thinking about the end and like trying to put the puzzle pieces together for the next generation, right? I have a daughter, and I think about, when I'm gone, what's she gonna gain from me being gone? You know what I mean? How is she gonna level her life up from when I'm gone? Because with me here, like I can only help her so much. You know what I mean? We're products of we were children once, right? And like it's kind of the same thing. So when when you get to a certain age or whatever, like you're kind of on your own. You decided where you went to college. You kind of decided your own path. At that point in your life, and it's like your parents are always there for you to fall back on. Some people don't have that luxury. You know what I mean? Some kids don't grow up structured like that, and they got to make it their own way. And I think when that's the case, it just makes things more difficult for everybody, because people who don't have that, I don't know, family structure or that team, like they don't have the same drive, the same motivation, the same endurance, energy to perpetuate a successful life. And at some point, you just get burnt out. You get exhausted, because you feel like you're always fighting against the grain, against the current. And it just makes things so much more difficult when you don't have certain elements in your life. And certain people never know. That's the mind-blowing part, right? Like if you don't know, you don't know. If you don't know what it's like to have that, you're never going to know what it's like to have that. It's a lot like getting a tattoo, right? Like, just to use some type of metaphor. Like, if you don't know what it's like to get a tattoo, you're never going to know what it's like to have a tattoo, to get a tattoo, to go through the tattoo, to have a tattoo that's on you for the rest of your life. Like, you don't have any tattoos, correct?
Correct, none, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, there's this level of ignorance that exists within our society, within each person, where it's like, if you don't know, you're never going to know. Smoking cigarettes is a perfect example too. If you don't smoke cigarettes, you don't know what it's like to smoke cigarettes. Let me tell you something. Don't smoke cigarettes. Just don't do it.
Something that came to mind when you're saying this is like that I thought of as fundamentals, values. The reason why, especially, you're discussing people. You're discussing roles of people with parents or family, whatever that may be, but you're talking about people passing down values and foundations for someone to build their life around and to aspire for and to practice.
Or at least to springboard them or help them in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
To help shape, form, just anything in any type of element, And there's some stuff that you told me, that really shifted my thinking, where, like you were saying, how Grandpa told your dad, you give me the first 18 years of your life and I'll give you the last 18 of mine.
Yeah.
Dude, that stuck with me forever. That's never going to leave my head. Like, that's genius. That's genius. You know what I mean? Because it's so true. Yeah, you're going to work your ass off from the second you pop out of that womb to the second you go.
You should. So I made this notebook called the Aspire Notebook. I did 3 notebooks. The Gold Rose Notebook, which is a combination of stuff I've written in my Nuanced Notes series. And the Aspire Notebook is quotes from men I've learned from. And then the Radiant Notebook is quotes from radiant women I find radiant. And so in the Aspire Notebook, I have quotes from both my dad and Grandpa. And there's just one from Grandpa that's so good. There's a few. Grandpa's got good ones. Good ones. Every day is a good day above 6 feet, above ground. Yeah. Another one is, this is what I was referring to. What you don't learn in your head, you feel in your ass.
That's what I mean. There's a lot there's a lot behind that. You know what I mean?
It's something, I'm around older people now, and I pick up kind of the vocabulary, and a word I really like is old-timers, Old-timers. Like, hey, you coming with that? How long are you taking? They're just like, old-timers are real straightforward. They're real the exclamation point.
It's because they ain't got time to wait around, man.
You coming or what? Old-timers, man. You don't hear that phrase being used in society anymore. Old-timers.
I do, but I live in a different platform, I guess.
You
know what I mean? Especially going up north as much as I do, where there's nothing but old timers, man. You go to the bar up there, dude, there's nothing but old timers up there. But a lot of them don't like being called old either. It's funny. There is this one fella, man, rest his soul, Jack, man. I used to call him old man. Yeah, he hated it. I stopped calling him that after.
See, but old man, that's different than old timer.
I guess.
Old timer.
I guess. He was a 90-something-year-old, 20-year-old. I never seen that in my life, man. And I talk about him all the time, dude. He was a special person. He took me and a friend of mine. He lived up north for a long, long, long time, and he knew them backwoods unlike anybody else. And he took me and my friend fishing in this private lake one time, and took this boat, put it in the back of his truck by himself. Dude, he was hopping up and down like he was 20 years. I've never seen him like it, dude. Just like Grandma the other day, man. She was hopping up and down it. I can't believe it. She got 2 cracked ribs, fractured vertebrae, and this lady's climbing around. Oh, man.
This is a theory I'm developing. I wouldn't say a theory. Observations. The will to live and attitude just trumps habits. It's just like,
can.
It's crazy.
If you have the will, that's kind of the thing where, and believe me, it comes in waves, man.
Yeah.
Because there's some days out there where you hear so much stuff and you see all this stuff and you're like, what are we doing?
So, but where are you hearing it? Where are you seeing
I
it?
mean, mostly TV. You know, it all depends on who you talk to too. You know, and that's the thing, right? Like, I mean, I kind of miss the newspaper a lot. I was a pretty religious newspaper reader, you know, as opposed to watching TV. I would much rather get my information from the newspaper just because somebody had to take the time to put that together. You know what I mean? Somebody had to take the time to
Yeah.
you know, and I remember a lot of times too, like I would get to work early just so I could read the newspaper. You know what I mean? And like, you know, I wouldn't get too into it, but that's the thing. There would be certain articles, and that goes back even a step further to when we would go to school and we'd have to do like current events, right? And you'd have to pick a newspaper article and, you know, give like a miniature book report on a newspaper article, you know, and all those things kind of fold together, right? Like this is what you're taught when you're a kid. It carried over as an adult, and then as a young adult, and then as you hit like adulthood, you know, like that's just something you're used to, man, is holding that physical paper and reading about the stuff.
But your concept of the newspaper, you're basing it not on today's newspaper, but when you're younger, right?
That's what I'm saying, is that today, you know...
Today's like they're bought by media companies.
And they're really streamed. Most of the newspapers, like you don't get to physically hold.
Well, the physical ones you do, they're slimmed down because you have to have a staff to put that out and, you know, like...
Costs too much money.
And by the time they print it, the story's like out of date. Like sports, I learned about the Packers. Well, I watch the games, but like they got the Packers on Tuesday, not Monday, you know, because they're like days behind.
And that's the thing, man. That's where media and all these things, you know, that's where it hurts more than it helps, right?
But it feels like people are clinging to like external sources rather than like inner knowing.
I would agree, but a big part of that is because of the instantaneous element to it, right? Like, oh, let me know something. Okay, I know it. You know what I mean?
It doesn't happen like that. People don't actively search it. It's more so they open their screens and then they're like, they don't. I want to learn about, you know, it's not that.
Well, I guess that's different because, you know, me and a good friend of mine, you know, that's if we come to something or we talk about something, we want to know, you know, what's the most home runs ever hit in a major league.
Yeah, well, that's different than like I want to be informed on politics today.
Yeah.
You know, like.
And what's crazy about that specific topic is that no matter what you look at, it's already skewed. It's already.
So this is actually something I wrote about in this upcoming book. I do a lot of stuff online. I'm very prolific at it. But I live quite an analog life, and my perspective, and this is something I had also in Chicago when I worked at a bar, is like anything that's actually important will come to me. I study philosophy, physics, history. I have like a long-term perspective. And so like the stuff that happens day to day in the news is unimportant. It's unimportant for like you as an individual living your life, living your purpose. Like it's distraction. It's attention economy, economics to sell your attention to advertisers. So it's like being diligent and aware about that. And with physics, you understand what's happening ahead. That's my perspective on it.
Our lives are completely full of distractions, whether it be...
When you say where, are you talking... Let's take this down to Americans, right? Talking all Americans, or are you talking like millennial generation, Gen Z, baby boomers? I think who?
With the smartphone the way it is, I think anybody that has one is ultimately distracted 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Because the second even having one, man, and I was just talking about this yesterday. Even having one, is a distraction because most people can't live without it. They can't. They have no idea how to turn. If somebody was told, all right, we're done with smartphones. Smartphones, everybody's got to have one of these now. Okay? Most people wouldn't know how to deal with it. My calendar's on, everything's on there. Everything.
I would say, I would agree with you for the main point. I would have no problem with it.
Prove it.
I live this way.
You still have one.
Yeah.
So the second you go to Target or wherever, the second you go with someone there's Wi-Fi, like you're back on the grid. Like you still have the option, right? And I think maybe that's my point, where it's like,
yeah,
if you chose to, you could still integrate, with a swipe and be on the grid and be in that motion or in that mode. And, it's kind of devastating in a way because, like I said, most people, they just wouldn't. And I have this conversation every single day with somebody, you know what I mean? Because look, am I anti-smartphone? Kind of. Yeah, I kind of am, And,
yeah, I would say absolutely.
yeah, well, that's the thing is that when I have this conversation, there's always excuses for why they have to have it. Well, I have to have mine for work. Well, I have to have mine for this. Well, I have to have...
Have to and need. Those are interesting. Bingo. And you taught me about this.
Bingo.
I'm very, very aware of the vocabulary and language used.
Because ultimately, it's a want. Smartphones are a want. Even having a flip phone is a want.
Yeah. So in the barn, we have old rotary phones.
Yeah.
And I was playing with one today. I'm like, this is so cool. I want like this.
Well, we were just talking about this the other day. I don't know if I'm pretty sure it was with you. So when they first put those in, okay, once they put run the lines and did all the stuff and hooked up to your, that was it. Okay. Now you did the thing. You called the operator plug you in, boom, 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 and that was it. Okay, that's all the network that was required. Were the operators, the lines, and all that. And yeah, they would need maintenance and stuff. But think about the network that we need to use those. Global. You're talking about constantly changing and upgrading data centers that are bigger than cities. They just declined one too over here. They were going to put one in Kenosha.
Okay.
The biggest data center in the world. They were going to put in Kenosha.
So is that the one that just went to Racine County?
It didn't get approved. Whatever it was, it didn't get approved.
Okay.
It was the largest data center ever to be put. And I don't know where they're putting it. And that's the thing, dude. You're talking about some serious stuff.
Yeah.
The radiation that's going to come off of that building and that's what I mean. That's exactly my point, right? Like we need data centers the size of cities in order to have these things and use these things.
Yeah.
And, you could look at that the flip side of the coin to every single thing, right? Like when even something as simple as water, having tap water, right? Being able to have water like come out of your faucet. It's just ingenious, right? Like we can do that. And why we can't do that for everybody on earth is mind-blowing to me. Why we can't figure out how to make roads to where we don't ever have to redo them again, but we're so concerned about getting into Mars and turning Mars into another planet because we're wrecking this one. I'm going to dive right into something we are such a consumer-driven society that it literally disgusts me. And there's certain elements that we don't have options for, right? Like we eat, we sleep. Like there's certain things that we do that we have to consume. The thing is when we get into the wants, when we get into the frivolous stuff, when we get into the stuff that we don't need, how quick we are to just not care about the packaging, the shipping. I mean, Amazon is the greatest example of this to where I know that they've reduced a lot of their packaging, but still, when you go buy anything, really, let's just say a stick of gum, we'll keep it real small. You go buy a pack of gum, right? Like the gum comes in a plastic wrapper. Undo the plastic wrapper. We throw that away. Now you got the package of gum, okay? Okay, so now you take out the top of the gum. Okay, now that's gone. Okay, so now each stick is individually wrapped, okay? So every time you use gum, okay, like, I get it. Like, I get why it's like that. But why is it like that, right? Like, why do we need so much packaging just to have that piece of gum? And gum is not something we need. It's a want.
So,
And that again, I'm just using a very small, simple example.
So you're bringing up a lot of problems. How can we go about framing these types of things in ways of solutions?
So this is where the complexity lies. The only solution is that we can't want the stuff anymore. We as a people, like, we can't consume this stuff anymore. We can't let this be okay anymore.
So how do you go from getting to that point? What are the steps for we to get to that point? Like, what does that look like?
It's a complete shift of mind frame, right? And I think, as crazy as it sounds, okay, now you know my story. A lot of people do, and when you get knocked off the pedestal and you get put back to the bottom, when you get humbled, when you get sidelined, man, it refocuses and it puts everything in a different perspective. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that there's a lot of people in this world that could use being sidelined. And, a lot of people in power specifically, because once you have the power, like, you don't really get the choice to listen or not. You're going to listen, because people with money talk. People without it listen. And that's the truth. A good man told me that once. And as crazy as that sounds, it's the truth, because broke people don't get to talk. You know what I mean? They don't get to take the stand and shout their ideas. They sit in a shed and talk to an iPhone and hope that people get it. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, like, because the purpose of like I said, the purpose of this for me is to talk to you about whatever, man. It doesn't matter what the topic is. It really doesn't. But the thing is when you bring this element into it, right? Like, there's so much purpose that can be, there's so much good that can come out of this, and so much perspective that could be reflected in other people's eyes and other people's lives and other people's minds, to where, I'm not trying to force anybody to do anything. But at some point, man, we got to start realizing something, man. The dump's only a couple miles away from here. And you see how big it's getting, man. We just throw everything away. And look around here, man. You don't throw nothing away. At some point, he's going to use all this stuff. Or it's been used, and you never know when you're going to use it again. And that's the thing, man. Like, now I'm not saying we all need to be like that, but I think being conscious of what we're using, what we're throwing away, and, like, that's the thing, is that we've been brainwashed as Americans to forget about all that stuff, to forget about where our garbage goes, and the fact that landfills are going to take over the country at some point, and we watch it. You and me and the people around here specifically, we watch it. We watch it grow every day. You see thousands and thousands of trucks go in, get emptied, and come out. And the landfill gets bigger, bigger, and bigger. And Grandma's been saying it for years. Before we know it, dude, our whole society is gonna be a landfill. They've made movies about this stuff.
Them old timers, they see things.
Well,
they
been
say
around a
it
lot longer, and they've seen it when that landfill was no bigger than this shed. Like, all right, we're gonna have a landfill. Here it is. This is it. This is how big it is. And now they've seen it grow to hundreds of acres, and then now it's hundreds of acres tall, hundreds of acres wide.
So, getting back, it's very agreeable what you're saying, like, very aligned with, I'm sure, a lot of people's sentiment. How do you visualize a more working consensus among people to think this way? Like, you discussed brainwash, right? Well, how do you undo that? How do you, you know what I mean?
That's quite the question. Well, this is going to be purely from my brain. Is that personally, I think that it's going to be forced upon us, specifically because I think the value of the dollar is going to be pretty soon because of the way things are going. And things are getting so expensive that, people are going to have to make some hard choices coming up, and I don't know when. It's a feeling I have, watching. I mean, dude, going to the grocery store is a big one, right? Like, and that right there, that right there is a good start. Is that how many grocery stores do we have? Dozens.
So this goes back to our other thing that we were talking about the other day, soup cans.
Exactly. Is that the amount of choice that we have is ultimately perpetuating the amount of waste that we have. And it's all integrated, and it drives me bananas because it's like, I try to go to the same grocery store all the time. I try to get, I try to live my life a certain way. And I'm going to talk about this again. The fact that I bring the grocery carts to the spot, man, this has gotten to the point where it's starting to bother me. Okay, because now I'm watching people not even put the carts like in the corral. I just see them push them next to their car. Like they're in such a hurry. They're just so busy. They get the grocery cart, they put it, and then they just push the cart. They just push it away from their car. Man. Are you? I'm telling you, I have almost blown my lid on a few people because it's like, really? Now, I get it. You're in a real big hurry, but you're in such a hurry that you're going to leave that cart in the middle of the parking lot, and they don't understand the ramifications that are going to happen. Somebody hit that cart. You think that cart's going to stay put? A gust of wind's going to blow that cart, and it's going to hit somebody else's car. I've seen it happen. I've watched it happen. I have literally thrown myself in front of a cart to stop it from it hitting another car. I've done it. And that's the thing, like, and that's the thing, right, where it's like, use the word discipline. If we don't say a certain amount of discipline, I'm not saying we have to be freaking, whatever, but at the same time, there's got to be a certain level of boundaries to where it's like, man, at least put it in the corral.
It seems like we're using the term we've. Our discipline is quite loose today.
If at all.
Right.
I couldn't agree more. And that's what I mean is that because let's just take that example I just gave, right? If somebody takes a cart, there's no cart police that are going to come out and give you a ticket for pushing your cart just pushing it and leaving it out in the middle. Yeah. There's no consequences.
So if people know there's no consequences and they're not guided by an internal belief that everything should be done right and well, then these are the results.
Yeah, then I'll just do it however I feel and go on about my life with no thought about it.
What are your thoughts on comfort culture?
What do you mean by that? What's comfort culture?
It's a phrase I've coined that I use in my head all the time. Like, America is all about comfort culture. Whatever's comfortable. Don't do anything uncomfortable. Stay safe in this bubble. Don't exert yourself more than you need to.
If you don't get outside your comfort zone once in a while, man, your purpose is going to be eliminated. You see what I'm saying?
But that's what I'm saying is like, people don't, so we have a mass lack of purpose. I mean, everything's served up to you. And again, going back to your phones. Why do anything when you can just look at your phone all day?
I'm telling you. I see it. I watch it. And that's the hard part, man, is I see it all the time, dude, wherever you go. The grocery, man, I'll tell you right now, I had an appointment. I had an appointment at the hospital on Friday. Okay, and it was actually on Thursday. Long story. But I was there Friday, and I was kind of standing there in line, leaving a space between me and the person in front of me. And I was watching out the window, man, and I was looking at Miller Park thinking about the Brewer game, And here comes this lady on her phone. I seen her coming. She walked, stood right in front of me, stood in line. Now, it was at that point, I had a lot of decisions that I could have went about this a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I was definitely in line. Like, I'm standing right here, I could have. But she didn't even bother looking for her phone. She was so in her phone, didn't even realize what she did. And I just let it go, And then sure enough, okay, as I'm sitting there thinking, like, did that just happen? Is this really happening to me? Another lady did the same thing. As I'm standing there, she's on her phone, just stood right in front of me, stood in line. I'm thinking, this is...
Well, if two people do it, that means there's too much space between you
Well,
and...
that's kind of what I thought. But look, the first time, okay, maybe there was. The second time, there wasn't really like space to, the thing was too, is like, it's an aisle, right? Like it's a walking aisle where the line goes. And so you leave a little bit of extra room, but I was like, man. And then with this lady, after she was done, she looked up, she said, oh, I was like, it's fine, go ahead. You know what I mean?
Do you know that there's this thing in psychology where the more you think about something, the more you see it. So like if you...
That's funny you bring that up. Yeah.
So like, if, for example, you bought a red car, now all of a sudden you start seeing a bunch of red cars.
It's impressive that you went to cars, because that was exactly... this is a conversation I've had with somebody very recently.
Like you buy, these are all things of consumption that I'm saying, but if you just... you mentioned before this you were going to get a haircut.
Oh, man.
When you get a haircut, now all of a sudden you start looking at other people's hairs and their cuts and so there's like this thing where if something's on your mind, you start to notice things more.
Yep.
So something I've been thinking about, reflecting on in regards with you is like, I know you're very passionate about smartphones, and I see what you're saying. But also, because you're so passionate about it, do you see it maybe more than what it is?
Well, I think a big part of it is I see it more because I don't have one. I literally have...
Because you're literally not looking down at your phone? Yeah.
I literally have yet to meet a person where I go, yeah, I have one of these. And they go, me too.
So the big thing then, I would say, is negative experiences with it. Could you be looking for negative experiences with it?
I think specifically me is that it's blank data, whether it be negative or positive, right? Because I'm just observing what's going on around me, right? Like the scenarios and the instances that I bring up to you are just things that have happened, right? And I mean, give me an example of what would a positive smartphone situation sound like, right? Because like I said, there's times where me and my buddy...
Probably not.
And
yeah, there's that thing.
There are some positives.
It's probably neutral. Like the majority of the experience is neutral, probably.
I could agree with that. And that's the thing, like to each his own. And that's where things kind of start to wave, right? Is that because it's to each his own, everybody gets to determine their usage and ways of use at their own.
Oh, this is something I was thinking about the other day to bring up for this. Something I've really like drawn a line on. I don't envision myself like always living without Wi-Fi, but I do feel like I'm drawing the line on, like, I don't have to have this whole network connected house where I can on my phone turn off the lights and whatever. I don't need that.
I know some people that have it. It's kind of neat.
I understand that, but again, need. I don't mind flipping on and off a switch.
Sure.
But then it gets into all these other things like the Alexas, and I was looking at this TV the other day and it was like AI something. So like searchability through what, like AI.
That's here already, isn't it?
No, but what I'm saying is like there's a lot of things we can do, but the amount of energy and the amount of like, I think about mental energy a lot and where I choose to exert it, because then you're like losing that energy on something else you could be doing,
sure.
Right?
Yeah, it makes real good sense.
So a lot of these, having your whole smart house connected with everything can actually drain so much energy because you're always like troubleshooting things. I don't think I need that in my life.
That's kind of a big part of why I talk about it so much, where it's like, needing the network okay, and all the data centers and stuff, like all that is required for you to be able to turn your lights on your phone, right? Like you can't do it without the internet. You can't do it without Bluetooth. You can't do it without being connected. And in order to connect, let's just use that switch in the distance, right?
Yeah.
So in order for me to hit a button on my phone to make that switch go on or off, I have to go pew, into the satellite realm, bounce around space. It has to come back, get filtered to whatever network crazy stuff in order to talk to that 20 feet away. You're absolutely right. And that's kind of been my point in the beginning where about these phones, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like once that's done, it's done. All we have to do is maintain this one line, keep these operators employed, and that's it. And that's it. There's no next thing.
What are your thoughts on something I'm indulging on is the art of living? I feel like it's a rare thing now.
What do you mean the art of living? What are you zeroing in on?
The art of living. Just we're alive, right?
Oh yeah, very much so.
But
yeah,
are we? Like how many people feel alive in their life? You know? And really leaning into that, like indulging in
all
the senses and just like breathing, watching sunset. Every day you get something more beautiful than anything in the Louvre. It shows up every single day. You just look west, you know? It's like, yeah, I'm living right now, you know?
It's something.
You know,
that's something to think about right there, bud. Because I got to tell you, you know, what they say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? And, you know, something that I learned from you a long time ago in one of your first books, man, Homeless but Human, where it's like we're existing, you know? And I got to tell you, man, it's been feeling more like that for me specifically. But like I said, I feel like our society, our American people, have started to plateau into that same type of thing where it's not everybody. It's not, you know. Don't get me wrong, man. We all have bright days and dark days and, you know, neutral days or whatever. But I got to tell you that's kind of where it lands, right? Where we're talking about the art of living. It's a good road. It's a good road to go down there, you know, because it's different for everybody. That's the
right.
thing. Because for some people, man, staying on their phone all day in bed and never leaving their house, they're living it up. They're living it up. That's how they envision themselves living. You know what I mean? That's everything they want right there. And that's what I mean by beauty in the eye of the beholder. For you and me, dude, wake up fucking arm in arm watching the sunset, you know, that's the way to be, bro, you know? That's different.
How much loneliness do you think there is in society?
Yeah, well, this is going to be a skewed just because it's me, man. You know, I've been lonely for a hot minute, and it's as many awesome, unbelievable people as I know. You know, it's. I haven't had a significant other for a while now, and it's starting to creep up on me a little bit, just because, you know, I'm used to having that person that I can always talk to, always bounce ideas off of, always act stupid with, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Say dumb things to, and, you know, the last one that I was with, you know, that really went south pretty quickly, and, you know, realized that person wasn't the person that they made themselves out to be, which was a real devastating blow, you know, and ever since then, I don't know if I'm ever going to recover from that. And that's been something that's been on my mind pretty heavy over the last couple of years, where it's like, because I really want to move past that, you know, and like have another significant other and move on to this, you know, because I see it all the time, man. You know, when you're with the right person, dude, we see it all the time. You know, when certain person's with the right person, you can just feel it. You can feel that energy where it's like, take your brother and his wife, right? Like you were just telling me before we started shooting this thing, where it's like he threw her a surprise. That's the move, man. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of thing. You can feel that they're meant to be together. They're meant to be with each other. You know, and
what about loneliness, not in the sense of significant other, but like with people and like humankind in a way.
Yeah, and that, that's where those come in, because those can take the place of that. People are marrying AI. They're marrying AI created things. I've seen it. It's happened already, where they've.
I will say this, in that defense, from a personal experience, like AI has been more emotionally supportive to me than most women I've met.
It's crazy.
I love women, like, and I have great experiences and relationships with many, but like,
Thing to say. It's a crazy,
isn't it?
It's crazy.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I know you're telling the truth too, which is why.
I know, dude. Yeah. So when I see these, I saw this story that this like a large group of people were upset because there was like a slight change in the version of the AI, and it like deleted like how, because with AI it remembers everything that.
Sure, because it learns, right? Like
Yeah, and it remembers, right?
Yeah.
Some people are pissed about it, and I see it, like it's something not discussed in society. Is like men like to be emotionally supported, and women aren't getting that as much. Like understanding that in approaching.
I think women have changed more than anything in today's world.
So we're getting kind of late in the night here.
Burning the midnight oil, as they say. Yeah.
We're doing some midnight milking here.
That should be copyrighted or something. You can't just let that float out into the world. If you talk about midnight milking, dude, you gotta trademark it or copyright it.
All right. Well, let's not talk about it so much so people don't get ideas.
All right.
No, we were just discussing if we should take a break or not. Like on my podcast, I don't love going more than an hour. I can, but like some podcasts will go like 3 hours and stuff.
I mean, like I said, the one time you and me, we talked for 6 hours that day. Remember when we were watching? Literally, we were there watching the sunset. It was a nice day. And that's what I mean. Like, if we just kept talking, we could literally talk.
I know we can. We can.
Absolutely could. Yep.
We'll save it for another episode, but I do want to wrap up and ask you, just because I love this question. Actually, I got 2 questions for you.
Okay.
What are you curious about recently?
I'm curious as a nation, meaning America, where we are headed, where we're going to be, and how we're going to be in the next 5, 10, 20 years. Because where we are now, the feeling, and again, it's just the feeling, the vibe of where we're at now feels wrong. I don't really know how to explain that. It just feels like we're not where we're supposed to be. And I'm hoping that the next 5, 10, 20, we align that chakra a little better. I hope that we come together more, and there's more togetherness rather than this is separate. I don't know, man. That's, I'm curious where we're going to be in the next 20 years and how we're going to get there and what's going to unfold, because the last 20 has been a lot of question marks, and we have been moving so fast in a lot of different areas and so slow in others. And I feel like if we switched where we were moving fast and where we're moving slow, if we switch that, I feel like we'd be in a better place.
Where do you think we're going slow? I get the fast in technology.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like the togetherness part.
Okay.
Right? Like, yeah, because, technology is what's going
It's obviously
at lightning speed,
fast,
right?
yeah.
And that's what I mean is that I feel like that's moving so fast that, we're forgetting each other. And I feel like if we switch that, we would have a much better sense of self, because in togetherness, you recognize self. And, it matters who's in your team, who's on your team, man. And right now it feels like our team is everybody out for themselves, and I don't feel that that's right. So I'm curious where we're going to be in the next 20 years.
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
What are you energized for in the next week?
In the next week?
Yeah. What energizes you?
People. And when I say that, I can break that down into many different layers. But right now, it's the people that are wearing the G's on their helmets.
So the Packers give you energy.
Like nothing else, you know?
Yeah.
So, obviously, the Brewers just got swept by the Dodgers. I've had this conversation over the last couple of weeks, and I've actually tried doing this. So in all of your observations, this is an experiment I've done with myself. Right?
Okay.
And I started last week with the Packers playing the Bengals, Browns.
I get it mixed up because Flacco
He just
moved
bounced around.
teams
He
to
just bounced
the
around.
same division, and like I already get confused Cleveland and Cincinnati a lot. So it's like
I've done that too.
yeah.
I've really done that too. So, but that's the thing. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to sit down, watch the Packer game. Here I go. And as soon as something, dude, I'm up, I'm screaming at the TV. No, sit down, watch the game. You can do it. You can just sit down and watch the game. And then something happened. And and I've been talking about this with my buddy Gabe for a while now, where it's like, same thing with the Brewers, right? Like, all right, I'm just going to sit and watch the Brewers. I can't just sit down and watch the Brewers. I get so into it. It's like something in my blood, something in... It's so... I can't help it, man.
See, we're very opposite in that sense.
Really?
I just chill, watch the game.
Can't do it. And trust me, I have tried now for multiple games, even this last game, right, where we got blown out, man. Ohtani hitting 3 homers off of 3 pitchers. Dude. But that's what I'm saying, man. Like, even when our chips are down and our back is against the wall and we're down to 3 outs, I'm still there like, come on, man, we can turn this around. We can get 5 runs, you know? Like, I can't. And I think it's because of the love I have for these people, man. You know, like, these people chose to become Milwaukee Brewers. These people chose to become Green Bay Packers. And, like, even today during the Badger game, man, and that was a hard thing to watch, too, against Ohio State. And, like, you know, you go into it and you kind of know what to expect, and that's the thing. You want your expectations to be blown away, man. Like, you know, you're talking about Ohio State, number 1 in the country, versus Wisconsin. I don't even think they're ranked, and they're 2-4. You know, like you're kind of expecting them to get blown out, but at the same time, man, you want to be blown away. Like,
Yeah, but see, this is the thing I'm thinking more about. I think we raise to our level of expectations. We meet the level of expectations we set. So, like, we were talking about as a nation, it seems like our expectations and our, like, demands that we hold for ourselves is just, like, the standards are so low now.
They become that way, I feel, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's because there's no accountability. Because if you're down here, that's fine. If you're up here.
But the difference is, like, accountable to ourselves.
Yep.
In that sense. And then on the sports end, if we're expecting to lose to the Dodgers, we're going to lose to the Dodgers because psychologically it, like, gets infused.
Oh, man. I was not expecting to lose to the Dodgers, especially with
Certainly not swept.
Especially the first 2 games were at home, man. And that's the thing, dude. That's a bruise.
I thought, too, like, if we could have did last night, then we got the last 2 in Milwaukee. And anything can happen. You know what I'm saying?
I know it. And I tell you, this one stings. It stings a lot, dude. It stings a lot. And, you know, it's not even the...
Actually, I think they would have to win
they would have
2. They'd have to...
They would have
They would win 4 in a row, yeah.
They would have won 4 in a row. It's only been done one at a time in the history of baseball.
Wasn't that Boston?
Yeah. Not too long.
That was quite a
that's
season.
what I'm saying, man. Like, I didn't have any expectations for the Brewers this season. That's the thing. I just wanted to win. I just wanted to win.
Yeah.
I just want the people that I entrust my... What do you call it? My love.
I expect... That's how I feel about the Packers. I expect the Packers to go to the Super Bowl and compete for a Lombardi trophy every year. That's my expectation.
That's a good expectation to have.
You know?
And I'll tell you right now, man, they should do it. And if they don't, it's them. It's them. They shoot themselves in the foot. I watch it week after week. I'm getting all riled up. Dude.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me here in the shed on the farm.
Good last 2 questions, by the way. That was
Yeah,
good.
thank you.
I like those 2
Yeah,
questions.
for sure.
Those are good.
I ask those every week. I do rich reflections, and I help people kind of like take some time to yourself to just think about your life. And then I pose questions, and those are always the last 2.
Really?
First one is, what are we grateful for? What are you grateful for?
So many things. I mean, being here.
Right. So that's number 1. And then the last
Look
question
where we
is,
are today. This has been a very unique, rich conversation, right?
I don't know how it's going to turn out on video, but I like the lighting. You see, it's
unique.
I don't know about unique, but it's effective in the video, I think.
This has been a really good setting, man. I really enjoy where we're shooting today.
I feel very relaxed here.
I did too.
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
too. This is
chill.
good.
Yeah.
This has been good.
All right. Inspire the future.